Good morning, everybody, and happy Tuesday. Today, we are talking about 3 Alice in Wonderland themed decks, and I'm so excited. I'm a huge Alice in Wonderland fan, and you can tell because I'm wearing my Alice sweatshirt today. It's one of my favorite things. Actually, I'm going to prop this up a little bit so we can have a little more room on the table. All right. So one of the things I love about Alice is that she goes on the, fictional hero's journey in her story, which is the same journey that the tarot deck has. And so I know I talked a little bit about this with the Blythe deck, but this is especially applicable to Alice because she has a full story and it is exactly the hero's journey and it's exactly the journey that the Fool goes on in the tarot deck. So I'm really interested to see when we look at these decks through that lens, how closely they adhere to it. Now, there's one Oracle deck and 2 tarot decks, so it's not going to be 100% one-to-one between each of them. But as we go through them, I'd love to hear y'all's thoughts on the cards. As always, we're going to talk about everything about the deck, as well as looking at the theme and how well the deck sticks to the theme. And of course, we're going to be evaluating the artwork as always. So the first deck we're going to start with is the Disney Alice in Wonderland Tarot Deck and Guidebook. And so it's already really cute with the, blue box and the bright colors. And this is a very sturdy cardboard box, as you can see. This is that nice, thick quality cardboard that we love in these boxes. Again, it makes it a little heavier, it makes it a little bigger, so a little harder to travel with, but much sturdier, and really helps with the longevity of it. You can see on the back, you've got some idea of what the cards are going to look like. It is pretty hefty. This is a pretty heavy deck. Sorry, one of my cats has decided she wants to attack the rug that's in here. Hello. So again, really gorgeous box. I'm a very big fan of the box. Unfortunately, I have like a little scratch on it. Sad face. All right, so let's look inside. Inside, you've got this lovely on-theme printed look at mushrooms, teapots, roses. So really, really cute. A little bit of Baroque. You've got the stopwatch. So very cute style on the inside of this box. And then it does have a full guidebook, so my sister is going to be pleased. So we've got a full Alice in Wonderland Tarot guidebook. It's pretty thick. It's not as thick as some of the ones we saw yesterday, but at least it exists. And as always, we're going to be looking at that last after we finish the deck flip through. And then the cards are inside the box. No spoilers here. And just looking at the inside of the box, I want to point out that I love that it's got, again, the kind of Baroque pattern on the inside that matches all the thematic elements or the icons, the iconography that you see in Alice. But it also has the stripes on the inside, the outside of the inside of the box. I think I said that right. Okay. So super cute. Love the box. But what we're here for, as always, is the cards. So let's start taking a look at those. On the back of the cards, you've got this navy and gold pattern. And again, you've got the icons of the teapot, the heart, the rose, and the teacups here on the bottom, and then a star. And then you've got all this like stuff around it. Is this the most exciting back of a deck? No. Is it the most on theme back of a deck? Also, no. Do I hate it? No, I don't hate it, but I don't love it. So I'm just going to start with that. All right, it looks like these cards are mostly in order this time. So even though I have looked at this deck, I don't think I've worked with it, which really surprises me. So I hope that's not like foreshadowing of what's to come as we look at this deck. I have not looked at this deck in a while. So this is not a first look, but it's a first look in a while. So I might be as surprised as you are by some of the cards. So first up, we've got the Fool, and of course, Alice is the Fool. So thematically, this card is perfect. This is the beginning of her journey. And so it shows her here playing with her kitten. And as we know, she's playing with the kittens by the little creek when she sees the white rabbit and chases him down the hole. And that's how her journey starts. So again, Alice is the Fool in the hero's journey and in the tarot deck journey. So this is a perfect card thematically. Art-wise, I do like this better than the OG Alice art, and I think the kitten is cute. And yes, it's an accurate Alice. I think I just want a little more, I just want a little more oomph or something here, but it's a good card. It's good artwork. It's just not my favorite. It could be better. Next up, we've got the Magician. And of course, we've got the Mad Hatter as the Magician. So again, thematically, very accurate, very consistent with the story and with tarot. So really loving this. And it's really cute. I think that this art style, it's not my favorite, but I don't dislike it. It's just not my number one, but I think it looks really good on this card. I think that this art style favors this Mad Hatter Magician more than it did Alice. And I think he's really cute on there holding up the teapot and standing on the pink tablecloth. And I love the other pink teapot that's on the table with him. So the Magician is a good card. All right, next up we have the Mystery. And for that, we've got the Cheshire Cat, which is perfect. So love that. And that's a good Cheshire Cat. He looks a little mischievous, as he should, and mysterious, as he should as well for this card. So that's good. I would want more tree and more forest. So the way they did his background is just a little abstract for me. I think the imagery in Alice in Wonderland is so strong. I'd love to see more of it visually carried out on some of these cards. But thematically, we are 100% on point. All right, next up, we've got the Empress, which aptly enough in this deck is portrayed by the Red Queen. So that is perfect. Again, not my favorite Red Queen, but that's mostly an art style thing, which is just taste. So accuracy and thematically, very good card. Art-wise, probably going to stop saying it, but just not my favorite. It would help if I showed the card the right way. And then next we have the Emperor card. And I don't remember there being a Red King. Maybe there was, and I think she did him, so I think maybe that's what happened and why I don't remember him. So decent-ish. And then the Hierophant. So who is this lovely brown-haired girl reading a book under the trees? Is that Alice's sister? I don't know who that is. Gonna leave it at that. All right, and then we've got the Pair. I'm assuming this is for the lovers instead. And so it's that Tweedledum and Tweedledee are their names, right? So that's really cute for the Pair. And they are troublemakers. You can see by their faces, they are troublemakers. So, if you're Disney and you're blending Alice in Wonderland with the tarot deck, that's probably a good choice. All right, and then the Chariot. And so it's Alice writing in her drink bottle. So after she does the crying and the drinking and the shrinking and the whatnot, that's her writing in the bottle, which is taking her further into the journey, which is perfect. Very, very apt and such a cute way to do it and not try and force like a vehicle, but using what actually happens with her as the Chariot is, I think, a really clever way to do it. Sorry, my hair is drying. My cards are sticking together. A sure sign I have not been through this deck enough. All right, this is Strength. That is really fun to do one of the flowers because remember there's all the talking and sentient flowers in the story. So it's really fun to do kind of a lion flower as Strength. I think that's adorable. I do miss how some of the interpretations have another character kind of snuggling up to the lion, but that's okay. I think this is a good card. Next up, we've got the Hermit, and it's a cute little mouse. It's probably the dormouse from the story, I'm assuming. And he's writing in a teapot. So that's adorable. I miss the lantern. I love the lantern imagery, but that is a cute card. All right, next up, we've got the Wheel of Fortune. Sorry, I'm shaking my little table. And this is the Seagull and the Pelican, and I think this is when they're doing their little rhyme. Sorry, my kitten's trying to attack my foot. She really wants to be in the video. So I don't know how I feel about this as the Wheel of Fortune card. I think that's not as strong of a connection as some of the other cards, but that's all right. And then next up, we've got the Justice card. So we've got the little king with his big gavel and then the scales of justice in the book. So that's pretty cute. There's definitely a lot of judgment going on in Alice in Wonderland once she gets to the court. So I think justice is good. And I can't wait to see what they do with the Justice card itself. And then here we've got Suspension. And that is a fun card. So she's, flying all around with the object. She's upside down. So I guess this is the stand-in for the Hanged Man. And again, this is a Disney deck, so they've got to Disneyfy it quite a bit. So that's a cute, cute, cute card. She is definitely suspended. All right, next up we have Transformation. It looks like the caterpillar, but definitely portrayed differently than we're used to. No hookah. So I wonder if the hookah will reappear later in the deck. Probably not, since it is Disney. But yes, enjoying that. Temperance is interesting because you've got one of the drinks with its label and a little chest full of toys. So that's an interesting choice for the Temperance card. And then you do still have the imagery of the river running by. So somewhat forgettable card, I would say, but cute. All right, and then Temptation, and this is the walrus. And he is doing like a little flute thing, kind of like the Pied Piper. So the walrus is the Pied Piper is Temptation. Okay, obviously that's the stand-in for the Devil card, which Disney adaptation. Gonna keep saying that. All right, the Tower. Oh my gosh. This poor girl is exhausted. I guess Alice turns into a house at one point, not something I remember very clearly. And she's just exhausted and done and frustrated at this part in her journey. It's interesting because you don't see like the normal imagery of the tower being destroyed and people like jumping from it, but you still get the same vibe from this card because she is so very clearly done in that card. All right, next up we've got the Star. And we've got one of the white roses. And remember, she has to paint the roses red. So we've got one of the white roses as the star. That's super, super cute. Those roses were divas. I don't know if you remember, but they were. I'm trying to see if I can give you a better look at this sweatshirt if I lean back a little bit. But this is Alice wearing her Jack Daniels t-shirt with her tattoo. So this Alice has been through it. This is her on the other side of her journey for sure. So I love this sweatshirt. I've had it for over 13 years. All right, this is the moon, and that's really, really cute. Alice is peering up at the Cheshire Cat up in his tree. I guess he's standing in for the moon in this one. Lots of mystery there, which is apt because he was the mystery card earlier. So this is pretty cute. And then you can see it's him up there, but the reflection in the water is a crescent moon. Significant look. So I like the artistry of that, even though, again, not my favorite art style, but I like the artistry and the artistic choice there. This is the sun, and I believe she's having tea with the Queen's Court at this point. But love it. She's definitely in her big chair having the tea. There's lots of delicious things on the table, and the sun is over the chair. And so Alice is the sun in this one, closely tied to the sun in this one, but definitely linking Alice on her journey with the sun in this card. So I love that. Okay, next up is Judgment, and we've got one of the rabbits and trumpeting, and this is again in the Red Queen's court. I would have expected to see the Red Queen again because she's the one who passes judgment all the time. And she's like, off with their heads, blah, blah. So I think I would have expected that, but it is a cute card. But just thematically, given the story, I think I would have expected to see the Red Queen herself in this one. Okay, next up, we've got the World. This one's really, really cute. This is Alice napping under the tree with her kitten. So adorable. So very, very, very cute. And is her whole journey a dream or is it real? That's what this card is asking. So very interesting. Okay, King of Flowers. Okay, so we have finished the major arcana with that. And now we are into the minor arcana in the suit. So the first suit is apparently the suit of flowers, which is really cute, very appropriate for Alice in Wonderland. And a lovely card. So as I'm looking at these minor arcana cards, I'm like, you know what? There may not be as detailed, but they are still detailed. And so we've got one of the sentient roses, red. She's the queen of flowers. That is gorgeous. I love that. So I really am enjoying these minor arcana cards so far. And it's perfect that, I hate to say these aren't the major characters, but they're not. So it's perfect that they're not the major characters, even in the court cards. Okay, so now I've got the Knight of Flowers with some lovely sentient daffodils. And then the Page of Flowers. I can't remember what these guys are called, what these flowers are called, but yeah, that's cute. And I like the colors. You know, we're definitely getting some really vibrant colors out of this deck, which is always one of my favorite things. So this is the One of Flowers. It's a really beautiful flower. And it's interesting because as we've left the court cards, these cards, the flowers are not appearing to be sentient. They don't have faces. They're not like doing anything. They're just sitting around being flowers. So the non-court cards get what I'm getting at, right? That's a good choice. Okay, the Three of Flowers. And the Four, some lovely daisies. So are these as clearly tied into Alice in Wonderland? No, but are they still pretty and distinct? Yes. So I don't feel like they phoned it in. You know, I think they could have done more to do more Alice tie-in with these, with the, you know, non-court minor arcana cards. But they're still pretty cards. So something to be said for that. All right, Seven of Seven. And I see we're alternating now between those daisies and these kind of red, fiery looking flowers. And they're pretty. I like them. Okay, my voice is starting to give out, so I hope we can make it through 3 whole decks. I think the other ones, well, at least the Oracle deck is smaller. All right, the Nine of Flowers. Okay, the 10 of Flowers. Now we've got the other kind of white flower we saw, and then the red one together on this one. So that's cute, cute, cute. All right, so now we're into the next suit. We just left flowers. Does anybody want to guess what the next suit is going to be? Because this surprised me. Like I said, I've looked at this deck, but apparently not in detail. The next suit is hedgehogs. I think that is so cute. If you remember, they play croquet with hedgehogs in the story. So this is really cute. So we've got the King of Hedgehogs. And I remember him from the story, but I don't remember his name. So he is the King of Hedgehogs in the deck. That's really cute. Then the Queen of Hedgehogs is one of the birds that we meet in the story. And she's nesting and she's got her little granny glasses. So she's super cute. And then the Knight of Hedgehogs is the salamander. Looks like he's going somewhere. Looks like he's got his little sack and he's going somewhere. Then we've got the Page of Hedgehogs. Oh my gosh, so cute. Look at the little guys in the tree. Okay, we finally get to a hedgehog. So now that we're out of the court cards in the suit of hedgehogs, we have the One of Hedgehogs and this beautiful purple sleeping hedgie. So cute. The Two of Hedgehogs. So we've got 2 pink hedgies. Adorable. Next up, we've got 3 hedgehogs and they're green. So this is also cute. I'd say slightly more effort than the flowers maybe for the non-court minor arcana. And yeah, I don't know. I think I would have liked to see the croquet mallets on here, you know, and so just a little more action, more than just counting hedgehogs on the suit of hedgehogs court cards. But they are cute, but just, again, leaving me wanting a little bit more. 7, 8 little hedgies. I'm going to go quickly through the rest of these because, again, it is pretty repetitive on these. Like, I feel like the flowers actually mixed it up more. All right, that is it for the suit of hedgehogs. And so next up, we've got spears. And we do have the March Hare. And he is at the tea party and he is happily pouring some tea. So that's super cute. And then the Queen of Spears, we've got Giant Alice confronting the Red Queen. You know, they had their showdown. So that's super cute. That Red Queen girl, she was out of control. And then the Knight of Spears, super fun. So if you remember the cards in the story in the Queen's court, the cards were like her little knights and, you know, her little army and whatnot. So now we've got the Page of Spears. And what is he doing? Oh, he is painting the roses red. I don't know why I thought that was a Starbucks cup. Clearly, I need more coffee if I'm thinking of Starbucks. All right. And then we've got the One of Spears. That's a fun spear. And so even the hedgehogs and the flowers appear in this story. They didn't look very Alice-y. And so that's why I was kind of fussing about them not being on theme. But these spears look a little bit more Alice-y, you know, like taken out of context. I would get Alice in Wonderland out of this. I would not have gotten that from the flowers and the hedgehogs. So this is definitely an improvement from that perspective. And again, these get really repetitive. So I'm going to kind of speed run through this. I don't remember how much this deck cost. And again, it did have a sturdy box. I'm just trying to think to myself, like what value would I put on this deck given that the minor arcana is a little disappointing, you know? And I know Disney, you know, has the rights to Alice in Wonderland now, but I do think some of the IP is public domain. So you see a lot of Alice like game spinoffs and stuff. And I just find those sometimes a little more interesting. I think Disney has Disneyfied the story a little too much. Okay, so that's it for the suit of spears. And so now we're into the final one. This is a good choice. I'm looking at it. I'm kind of sneaking a peek below, and I'm like, the suit is a good choice. I don't love the first card, but if you want to guess, I'm going to give you a second. But the last suit is the suit of teacups, which is, I believe, a very good choice, but I don't like this card. So this is the King of Teacups, and that's the doorknob, you know, that talks to Alice. That's all I'm going to say. And then this is the Queen of Teacups. That is so cute. I think these are the talking oysters. And then the Knight of Teacups being one of the bird umbrellas, which is cute. Okay, the Page of Teacups is my favorite teacup so far. Probably not going to guess what it is, but it is her kitten. I love it. So cute. Disney definitely does kittens well. I will have to say that. All right, now we're into the non-court cards, which are a series of teacups. So I'm going to go through these really fast. I don't want to skip them entirely, but they are just as repetitive as the other ones. And unlike the spears, if I saw these out of context, I would know they were teacups, but I would not think Alice in Wonderland. So that is my biggest disappointment of the deck, as I would want them to not phone it in on the minor arcana. I'm going to go ahead and call it. They did somewhat phone it in. I was trying to put a good face on it and say that they didn't, but they did. All right, that's it for the cards themselves. The suit of teacups is done. And now we're going to take a look at the guidebook really quick, and then we're going to give the whole deck a rating and then move on to our next deck. So stay tuned for that. Let me set this aside. Okay, so the tarot deck and guidebook is decently bulky. Again, not as thick as some of the ones we saw yesterday. It's this light blue color. It's not coming through super well on camera. Okay, let me pull it back. Then this is probably an accurate representation of the color. And you can see it's pretty small. And then on the back, we've got the Red Queen. So Alice on the front, the Red Queen on the back. And then looking through it, you can tell I've barely opened the guidebook. It's a little darker blue on the inside. I like how some of them have like a quote at the beginning that kind of gets you in the right vibe. So far, I haven't seen a quote, but they do have this lengthy introduction, which I'm not going to read to you because my voice is getting raspy. And then there is an explanation of how to read tarot, which I always like when decks do that, because a lot of people pick up a deck and it might be their first or second or third, and they don't necessarily understand the system. So I really like it when the guidebook actually goes over the system itself. And then it is explaining the suit. So the suit of flowers, the suit of hedgehogs, spears, and teacups. And then we get into the major arcana. And of course, I like this stripy vibe and, you know, the way that they've done this where it looks like it's been like taped on and stuff. I think that that's just a cute effect. You know, so it's looking like a photo album. And then you get a picture of the card for the major arcana and then the description of the card. So you've got description, upright, and reversed. And that's it. So a page for each card is good. Some of the decks we've looked at have like 2.5. So that can seem a little skimpy when you see just one page. But they've stuck pretty closely to the Rider-Waite interpretations. So there's not a lot of variation here, which is probably why they're not really getting into more detail. But I do think it's really cute that they have a picture of each card with the description. I really like it when they do that for the major arcana. So I want to look at the Hierophant card really quick because remember I was like, who is the brown-haired girl? Okay, so that was the Hierophant. Though Alice's attention wanders, her sister tries her best to keep Alice's focus on her history lesson. The Hierophant, like Alice's sister, is a wise teacher who values education, structure, and tradition. So these descriptions are good. Even though they're short, you can see that they really do link the Alice theme to the tarot description. So you don't necessarily have to figure it out yourself. In some cases, we can't even remember who the character is, and that's fine. So I think it's a good guidebook. I think the guidebook is very strong. I really like it. And then when you switch to the minor arcana, it's that same stripy thing with the little kind of pasted in appearance of a sign thing. I really do like that. And then this is a different color. So I love the color change switching into the minor arcana. So I'm a fan of some of the details. I just wish that they'd done more with the artwork on the minor arcana. But even for the minor arcana, they're still showing a picture of the card on the page. That's pretty nice. Like this, I'm just going to say from a value perspective, it was not cheap to print this guidebook. I can tell you that with all the colors that are in it and having a picture on or across from each page like this. That's really good. And then at the back, once you get through the cards, it has a section on tarot readings. And I do like it when they give you like sample spreads. And yeah. So it says use the deck intuitively, however you want. There's no rules. And then it also has a section on caring for your deck, which I like a lot. Because again, for a lot of people, they might be picking this up for Alice and just not be as experienced with tarot. And then here it's preparing to read tarot. And it's telling you to start with a question. You can ask the cards anything and everything. I really like that. So begin tarot readings by calming and clearing your mind. So again, they didn't lose the tarot-ness of tarot in this deck, if that makes any sense, even though it is Disney. Okay, and then there are some spreads in here, and this one's really fun. The doorknob's key, so clearly like an Alice-themed spread with the key there. Follow the white rabbit spread, so that's really cute. The Cheshire Cat's Conundrum. Wow, look at all those cards. So you can see that is a conundrum. You are struggling with something big to pull that many cards. And then you've got about the author and about the artist. So I give it a thumbs up for the deck overall. And I really need to look up the prices of these before I do these videos because I do not remember how much this one cost. Probably more than I think it should. I'll leave it at that. This feels like a $24.99 deck tops. Like the box is sturdy. And the guidebook was not cheap to print, and there's a lot of great colors on the cards. But from an art design perspective, and I apologize if the artist happens to see this video, which they probably will not, but really feels like they phoned it in on the minor arcana. So overall, my impression of the deck is meh. I'd give it a 7 out of 10. It leaves me wanting more. If you collect tarot cards and or you collect Alice in Wonderland memorabilia, I think, yes, it's worth having as part of your collection. But if you're like, let's say it costs $50, if that's a stretch to your wallet, you know, is it necessary? No, I would say. So I'm glad I have it. I clearly have not used it and I've had it for a while. That should tell you everything you need to know. Take a drink of water. And then we're going to go to the second deck. This one's an Oracle deck. And I know I've mentioned this a few times. I do tend to resonate better with the Oracle deck, which is really interesting because I love structure. But I think when it comes to the decks, I actually like the less structured nature of the Oracle decks. And just intuitively, I tend to connect to them more than tarot decks. I think the overwhelming number of cards in a tarot deck is a bit much for me as well. So I do have to admit that I think that is a big part of it. This is the Alice in Wonderland Oracle deck by Lucy Cavendish. This is an artist that I have followed for a very, very long time. So when she came out with an Alice themed Oracle deck, I was so excited because, again, I'm a huge Alice fan. There are sections of my house devoted to Alice in Wonderland. Excuse me. So this is cute. She is part of that big eye pop art style that I was talking about with the Blythe dolls, where, you know, it's the kind of baby, you know, big baby headed and huge eyes structure, facial structure. So that is a pop art style that a lot of people enjoy. I am a fan of that style. So that's why I have followed Lucy Cavendish for a while. So again, this is a big, big deck. I'm just going to hold these up compared. So like box wise, like you can see like the huge variation in size. Like this is much wider and taller. This is thicker. So, and they're both very heavy. The tarot deck is heavier, just so you know. So even though this is, you know, bigger this way, it's thinner and is less heavy, but a very sturdy box, just like the other Alice deck we looked at. Cute sides, top, sides. Well, top and bottom look the same, so I mixed them up. And then this is the back. Okay. So that is the box. And again, I can't even open it, very sturdy cardboard. And it does come with a full guidebook as well. And it is a thick guidebook. So looking forward to looking through that later. And it's the same artwork on the guidebook that was on the front of the box. I didn't talk about the cardstock on the other cards, probably because I just don't handle them. They're very thick and not very bendy, and I didn't notice a lack of glide or too much glide, so they're probably in that sweet spot on the glidiness, but I don't use that deck. This, you heard me sigh, I don't like this. So the box is bigger than the cards, and there's no padding around it. So in the tarot deck, it had that kind of inserted cardboard so the cards don't slide around. This does not have that. So this is sized for the guidebook, which is bigger than the cards. So not off to the best start with this one, I can tell you that. This is the back of the deck, and you've got this red Baroque style, which is so funny because it doesn't have the symbols or the icons of Alice like the other deck did, and yet somehow I like this back better. I don't know why, to be honest. I just do. It gives that like red Baroque feeling. It doesn't necessarily scream Alice, but it screams something, if that makes sense. It feels like her house had this wallpaper in it, you know? So I like this better than the back of the other cards, even though it's missing the icons. All right, so before I get into this deck, I just want to say again, I genuinely enjoy this artist, and a huge part of how I knew about this deck and why I bought it is that I'm very familiar with her work. I'm going to say that because I don't necessarily love her interpretation in this Oracle deck. I'm just going to start with that, so I don't mean any disrespect, but there's some issues for me. Okay, so this is the first card. It's called All in the Golden Afternoon. Inspiration, creative spark, imagination, and conception. So it is almost a corollary to the beginning of Alice's journey and the Fool's journey. So this aligns a little bit closely with the tarot storytelling of the Fool. But again, all in the golden afternoon. The reason I just don't like it is it's too Monet inspired. I have to be honest, that blurry background. And then because of the sameness of the colors with her hair in the water, there's just not enough contrast. And so I want, frankly, more detail around it. And then you do get the characteristic big-eyed girl, and she's very cute and sad and lovely, but this doesn't give curiosity. This doesn't give adventure. And remember, when Alice starts her journey, she's a free spirit. She's playing with kittens. She chases the rabbit. Like, she's bored by her lessons, but the emotions in this just don't tie in with Alice's emotions in the story in any way. So this, it just doesn't work for me thematically. I'm just going to say that. So I do have some struggles with some of the artwork and thematically. And again, I love this artist, so I mean no disrespect. All right. I wonder what will happen next. This is ready to adventure, precipice of change, and pause before action. Super cute, but that is not the look she has on her face. She does not look ready for action. She looks like she's been there, done that, not doing it again. And the vibe of this card is just all wrong for what the card is saying. And that's such a bummer. It's almost like they had the artist design the cards and then they just used the artwork willy-nilly in terms of which card it was going for versus the artwork actually tying into what the card is saying. I don't like that. Like, things need to be more thematically consistent for me. But the message of the card is nice. It just doesn't match the artwork. I'm just going to let you pause and look at that. I do like the cat faces that you can see. So this one should pop out. This one, that actually took me a hot minute to even see. So I do like hidden details. I do quite enjoy that. All right, number 3 is Follow the White Rabbit. This is definitely more on theme. In this case, she's holding a white rabbit, which is, again, not thematically accurate. If you get annoyed by me saying that, I suspect you will be annoyed with me for a while on this deck. It is a cute card, and her face has a lot more emotion, but it's almost like curiosity mixed with jealousy in some ways. So the emotions here still aren't giving adventure, but this looks like a very possessive card, which is really, really interesting because the words on here are curiosity meets opportunity. Not the vibe, but it is a very cute card. I think of the 3 we've seen so far, this is the cutest in terms of the artwork. It's just, and it is the most accurate. It's just still not accurate. This is Falling. So remember, she falls down the rabbit hole. So this is the unknown, descent, momentum, and change. And what's interesting is the background of the picture, her hair is almost giving movement, but in the main picture, it's not. So it almost looks like she's stuck in a chimney versus this uncontrolled fall. So again, it's just not. Okay, and the next card, sorry, these are a little stuck together, is Becoming Braver, which is really a fun thing. And she definitely looks scared in this one. Resilience, experience, what does that say? Growing stronger and fresh perspective. And so again, she looks scared in this one. And so even though this one's about becoming braver, you have to be scared in order to be brave, right? Like, being brave is about being afraid and doing anyway. So this one, emotion-wise, I like the most. And I like the mushrooms in the back. That's giving like whimsical and fantasy. Probably the first time we've seen a little whimsical and fantasy so far in the cards. I could do with more of that. Let me just say that. I want more there. This next one is Choices. Feeling blocked and restrained. And again, her face is not blocked and restrained. It is fatigued. So very cute card. Love the artwork. But in terms of the message of the artwork, it just isn't matching the card again. She looks like she's about to take a nap. This next one is Investigate. Look closely, ask questions, and think before acting. That is a very fun part of the Alice in Wonderland story, is she definitely learns to think for herself, and she definitely learns that she needs to think before she acts. She gets into a lot of trouble because she just jumps into stuff, and she eventually learns that she does need to investigate, she needs to learn, she needs to think, which is so interesting because remember when she starts her journey, she's bored. She doesn't want to learn her history. She wants to play with the kittens, and she wants to chase the bunny rabbit. And her journey is all about teaching her, yes, you do need to actually pay attention to listen and learn. But again, that is not what the artwork is saying. I am loving the additional fantasy elements. I wish there were more color to this. But yeah, again, she looks like she's not investigating. She's given up. This next one's kind of fun. It's called Do Not Drink Poison. And I'm loving the little cat there. I'm loving her stripy socks. She definitely has a determined face. And I like that the poison, the water level is rising. So this is do not do things you know are bad for you. I think that is a lesson we all need to learn sometimes in so many different ways. So it's a cute card. It's probably one of the closer ones thematically. She doesn't look like she's tempted to drink the poison. So again, it's, but she doesn't look like she's taking a nap. The next one is Curiouser and Curiouser. And this is where she's like, what the heck is going on? And so this is discovery, inquiry, weirdness, and curiosity. I think she definitely looks a little bit like traumatized. I don't know about curious, but she definitely knows something is up. So again, this is closer thematically. And the next one is follow your own good advice. I actually really enjoy that because how many times do we always know what someone else needs to be doing? And yet when it's us, we make the worst choice. We definitely don't follow our own advice. It's a good card for that. I don't know why she's crying. Trust yourself. You know what is best for you. Is she sad because she didn't? Changed in the night. You have changed quickly. Her face is not giving that again. I'm sorry to the artist. I like the artwork. I just don't like it for what the cards are. They just don't match. Lead the way. Be a leader. Show others how it's done. You can help others. Maybe it's encouraging her to be a leader because she's not in this card. She's not leading by example. All must have prizes. Trying to please everyone. Oh, that's rough. And really, really beautiful. Is he a pelican or a seagull? I can't remember what bird this is supposed to be. I think he's a dodo, to be honest. I think that's actually supposed to be a dodo right here. He's gorgeous with his different jewel-colored feathers. And her eye color is beautiful. Look at that. So it's lovely, lovely, lovely card. The next one is called Clock Time. Time, pressure, in a rush. She doesn't look like she's rushing. She looks like she's staying put. I'll tell you that. She's not going anywhere. The next one is Messages for a Rabbit, Service to the Animal World. And I love that she's got like the red rabbit eyes and lips in this. That's actually, artistically, I like this card quite a bit. And I like the message of being of service to the animal world. That might be one of my favorite cards so far. A moment's regret, nostalgia, idealizing the past, and fearing you've made a mistake. She's got a little bit of a sneer on her face, so she's definitely not happy. And I do like that there's all these calamities going on around her, right? A shipwreck, whatever's going on with that creepy animal, whatever's going on with that creepy dude. So definitely you're getting the calamitous vibes out of that card, right? All right, the next one is growing up. Wanting to grow in experience and rejection of perpetual youth. That's a good one. And it looks like she's snuggling with the Cheshire Cat here. And again, she just looks sad, and I know that this artist does a lot of like sad girls, but it's just not Alice. She's just not sad all the time. She has a wide range of emotions. No need to fear. Remember how powerful you are. So she looks more thoughtful in this one, but I do like the fantasy elements. I do wish the background was more colorful. These kind of drab backgrounds are not doing it for me. All right, who in the world are you? Getting to know the new you. And she's there with her pastry, which I would like a pastry. Not gonna lie, that sounds really good. And she's on her crustacean fish again. She looks like she does not want to get to know the new her. She just wants to eat her pastry. She doesn't want anything to do with anybody. Keep your temper. Don't allow anger to rule you. That's a good one. And so you've got the cat, and he's like smirking, and she looks livid. I am enjoying that. Loving her eye makeup in this one too. So that's a fun card. Next up, we've got The Right Way, learning to create what you desire. That's amazing. So that's a good manifestation card. I like the black background on this one. I like how she's like more, ephemeral looking, and she's talking to, is that a frog? There's a crown, there's a letter. I kind of like that card. I like it. Next up, we've got Set Your Course. Know where you wish to go, have a plan and the right direction. And again, she just looks resentful. She does not want to do any of these things. She just wants to hang out with the Cheshire Cat now, which I can't blame her. He runs away a lot and hides. I'd want to hang out with him too if I finally caught him. We're all mad here. Everyone is a little different. That's fun. And again, with the Cheshire Cat, I'd love to see the Mad Hatter. I'd love to see some other characters in here personally. Use your time well, make every moment count. I like that. Also, it's amazing to me because that Cheshire Cat looks deranged, like in most of these, which is really funny. Wake up, it's your moment. I love that. And I love her flowers, right? So I like the flowers tie in here, like she's getting her flowers because it's her moment. She's not sure about that though. She's not sure that's her moment. All right, finally, we have another character. It's always tea time. Eternity, endless moments, and repetition. And we've got the Mad Hatter, and he's looking pretty cuckoo, which I love. You've got that teapot, which looks like, it's got a crystal ball in the middle. It doesn't, but it looks like it. And that blue ties in with his eyes and the tea that he's pouring and the tea in all the cups. She looks done, like she wants this tea party to end. So really, this one is giving the emotion of the card, endless moments and repetition. And tea parties are fun, but can you imagine an endless tea party and doing the that thing over and over again? Like, that one really conveys what it's trying to convey. Painting the roses red. Okay, she's mad, which she was in the story. So this one is emotionally accurate, right? She's really ticked that she has to paint these roses. She's frustrated. It's tedious. And it is covering up errors. Mm-hmm. All right, the next one is nonsense, and we have another new character. We finally see the Red Queen. It's time to talk sense. Alice is scared and sad. The Red Queen is bullying her as she does. All right, the next one is find the lesson. So it's Alice at court. Discover the purpose in a situation. Trust that you are learning. So we've got the deranged cat. Random characters. It's not giving fantasy though. It looks like she's stuck at some boring house party. You know what I mean? Like, other than the cat, we need some more fantasy elements in that one. All right, this next one is law, not justice. Rules that are not fair. And the queen was definitely imposing a lot of unfair rules that Alice ran into. And she's not happy about it. So this next one's called Believe. Strange encounters. And so you've got Alice. Oh, and she's holding a unicorn. That's what that is. So, yeah, I like that one. That one's cute. Belong to your own dream. Okay. And look, this artwork looks very different. Alice looks very different. Create your own life. And again, this is the one where Alice is sleeping and you're like, is her journey just a dream? But yeah, really interesting, the change in the artwork for this card, which is also true of the next card. I want to be a queen, stating your sovereignty, declaring freedom, and passing a test. So the cat looks consistent. He's still really messed up looking. And then she is not the same. And, just leave it at that. All right, this next one is more in the style that we've been seeing, impossible things, working through disbelief, imaginative leaps, and fresh perspective. And I enjoy the butterfly horse, right? So it's the rocking horse with butterfly wings. And then you've got like dragonflies and butterflies that are buttered bread. So this one's cute. This one brings in all those fantasy elements we were missing. And then her eyes are like peacock colors. So this is a beautiful card. It definitely gives fantasy. It gives impossible things. So I quite like that one. This one's funny. Never jam today. It's always jam tomorrow. I don't know if you guys remember that. That was really cute. Promises that never come to be. Empty words. not living in the now. This really resonates with me. And it just reminds me of a child's frustration, not just in waiting, but in the fact that your parents often make you promises of something sweet tomorrow. And it's always the next day. It's never today, right? And that next day just magically never seems to come. So this really conveys that feeling. And she looks frustrated and resentful, even though she's got her cupcakes and tarts and cakes. And that looks like a bundt cake from Nothing Bundt Cakes. And I should probably not think too hard about that. All right, this is Shine Bright Like a Candle. You will make it through this, which I like, but this is very Starry Night by Monet. So remember in that first card where I was like, this is very Monet, like the Water Lilies one. This is, this is Starry Night. So I'm not sure why. I think that's not necessary, but it is cute. And I'm trying to remember because it's been a while since I've looked at this artist's artwork, but I'm wondering, there's a few of these cards where I feel like it was existing artwork that was repurposed for the deck versus net new art. And I feel like that might be one of them. I could be wrong. All right, this is Nature Communication, Flower Energies, Fairy Energies, and Elemental Messengers. So I quite like this one. You can see all the flower petals around her. You can see that her makeup and her eyes themselves, not just the eye makeup, but her eyes are also all these different colors. It's really beautiful. This is really pretty, and it is giving magical. And of course, the flowers are a great tie-in because of all the flowers in the story. This is You Are Rare and Free. There are not many like you. It's a good message. And then I like how she's kind of sitting pertly like this. But again, she doesn't look like herself. This doesn't look like the same art style as the other cards. I do like it very much, though. And I like the flowers around her. I like the fact that it's not some like taupe, vague background. So this is a good card. It's interesting that the art style doesn't match, and you'll see because we get to the next card and we're back to what we've been seeing. So I'm just going to do a quick compare and contrast. These look like they're from different decks basically. So this is Uncertainty. Choose who you will become. So she's uncertain. She has an identity crisis and she needs to choose who she's going to be. So that's a fun message. I like that. So as oracle cards, these are great. As Alice oracle cards, they're meh. As oracle cards where I want consistent artwork, also meh. But the messages on the oracle cards, very good. We've got a few more, but I did just want to pause and say that. Keeping up. Immense effort. And does that say advance? It does. It says advance. So she looks like she's worried she's not keeping up. She's holding her pocket watch. She's afraid of time. She's struggling to keep up. And again, I would have loved to see that in a more actiony way, because a lot of these cards where she's struggling with the thing on the card, she's giving, I'm not trying. She's giving, I'm stuck and frustrated versus I'm actively trying to do the thing. So I think that's my only criticism, because if you recall, Alice is constantly active. That's her issue. She's too active. She's supposed to be learning to stop and think and get more information before she acts. So this portrayal of Alice just isn't working for me personally. Forget who you are. Conditioning falls away. Memory no longer defines you. So that's interesting, especially coming after the uncertainty where you get to choose who you are. And now it's saying forget who you are. And that's great. Like you can set your mistakes aside. You can set aside preconceived notions, any conditioning that you've gotten societally, culturally from your family. So I like the message of this one. And then I am assuming that kind of fiery thing behind her is like burn it down, burn down your past, right? So yeah, I like that. Next, we have Mortality. That's a creepy one. Life is brief, bright, beautiful, and yours to live. So that's a lovely message, but also the artwork is giving creepy and depressing, but the message of the card is not. Manage to be glad. Create your own happiness regardless of conditions. Okay, again, I love the message on the card because that's true. Nothing around you is ever going to be perfect, and it doesn't need to be happy. You can create your own happiness. So you can choose to be happy even when circumstances aren't perfect, which is good because they're never going to be perfect, but you want to be happy all the time, right? Or at least most of the time. You can't go back to yesterday. Be in the present. That's good for people who tend to live in the past. So this is a really good reminder and a message. And it looks like she's got I want to say a phoenix, but that's actually a griffin maybe. So like the animal in this one, and I really like the message. I don't think her face is giving the same message. All right, this is the last card. Such a curious dream. Grounding, returning to reality, and coming home. So at the end of the journey, after you've gone through all this, you return home. You need to be grounded back into reality after living in this fantasy world. This is one where I do think this might be repurposed artwork from something she had done before she made the deck, or maybe I just saw it when she was prepping for it. But I like this card. It's cute. She looks very thoughtful. So yeah, I like that. In terms of card quality, they are thick. They're a little bendy. It's good cardstock, like everything we've seen so far. You know, I'm not gonna lie, I have some Timu decks, and we won't be saying the same thing about those. These are really good cards. They're nice and thick and sturdy. They're a little too grabby on each other. Like for me, like squishing the deck back together, it's like, you know, which is funny because when you go like this, it feels like there's glide and give, but there's also some stick to it. So yes, they were in order and now they're not going to be. But shuffling the deck, you know, for big decks like this, I have to do it vertically just because of their size and my hand size. This one's keeping up, which is apt. I have a lot of stuff to do. So it's the card that jumped out. That's actually quite perfect. So working with this deck, I'd say, you know, the size and the grippiness are a bit of a struggle if you do have smaller hands, like shorter fingers. But it's not that hard to work with. So I would like to work with this deck. I do like some, again, with the keeping up, I do like the messages on the card. So I do think from a oracle card and connection and meaning perspective, I'd like to work with this deck. As an Alice deck, it is somehow even less satisfying than the Disney one we just looked at. So as an Alice deck, I'm giving it a 6 out of 10. As a deck I would work with, I'm giving it like an 8. I really do like the messages on it. And if I look at the artwork as artwork and not as Alice, I like some of the cards more that way, if that makes sense. Am I gaslighting myself? Maybe. I don't remember how much this one was either. And I don't see this one in a lot of people's collections. So I'd be curious to know, if you don't mind telling me, do you have this deck? Have you looked at it? Have you thought about buying it if you don't have it? Based on our conversation just now, would you get it? Sorry, I'm not trying to turn anybody off from it. I'm glad it's part of my collection. I do not regret buying it at all. I would buy it again if I didn't have it. I just, you know, I just want more from it than what it's giving. All right, so here's the guidebook. And as I mentioned, it's the same picture that's on the front. I love the font choice on the cover. I really like that lettering. That's perfect for an Alice Oracle deck. And then on the back, you've got the image that's quite like, you know, the Monet Starry Nights. It's not the thickest deck. And what's interesting is that the paper is a little bit yellow. And so there's this page that came in the deck, and I feel like I'm supposed to know why, and I don't. Or sorry, that came in the box. And it is also that same kind of yellowish tint. Sorry, the colors in my room are a little weird. So this is coming across a lot whiter on camera than it is in person. It is a very yellowish, kind of linen-y, egg yolky, you know, kind of vibe in person. And the guidebook is the same. So it's really interesting because I feel like the paper quality isn't necessarily what I would have expected. It's a little rougher paper, and it is a little bit more of that yellowish tint. And so it just feels like it's a less expensive paper choice than the deck that was used, sorry, than the guidebook in the Disney deck. just getting that out there. But I do like it because since it's a wider book, it bends better. That one I really struggled to open without cracking the spine. This one you can get it open and it's not cracking the spine just because it's floppier and wider pages. And then the information in here is good and it ties back to the quote. So we're going to look at this Who in the World Are You card, getting to know the new you. So it has the quote from Alice in Wonderland, Who in the world am I? Ah, that's the great puzzle. So it ties the card to the quote from the book. So I feel like this is actually tying in a lot better than the actual artwork. And so it gives you an interpretation, kind of how to ask yourself these questions. And then it gives you, so it's a lengthy kind of description and things to ask yourself, and then the interpretation, and the interpretation of it's reversed. Good guidebook. I like it. I think it's great information. And then it's giving you some spreads in the book again. These are not custom Alice spreads. These are standard, like the 3 card, the Celtic cross. And it does have a down the rabbit hole spread. So it does have one that's like a custom Alice-y type spread. And it definitely talks about shuffling your cards and how handling and connecting with the cards is very important. In fact, essential. It talks about the question. And then it talks about when cards jump out. So, sorry, I'm pausing and looking at it. I like the guidebook better than I like the deck, if that's not clear, as I'm pausing and looking through it. And then any of the pictures are in grayscale, black and white, not in color. And so I mentioned that the Disney one would have been expensive to print. This one is definitely less expensive to print, and it does have great information about the author and about the artist. So I hope they enjoyed this collaboration. It looks like it was a fun project to work on. And just because it's not to my taste doesn't mean that it's not worthwhile or that it's not somebody else's taste. And I'm sure there's plenty of people out there that don't value thematic consistency as much as I do. I am a Virgo. I'm just going to say it again. So for me, it's the details. So there are people who might like this deck more than I do. I do think it's worth buying if you're an Alice fan. I do think it's worth buying if you like Oracle decks. It just wanted more than I got. This next one is really interesting. So this third and final deck that we're looking at today is Journey to Oz and Wonderland Tarot Deck and Guidebook. So this is a mashup of The Wizard of Oz and Alice in Wonderland. So let's talk story and theme really quick. Those are both heroes' journeys, traditional. They're both the Fool. We talked about Alice going on her fool's journey, and it's the same thing about Dorothy, I almost forgot her name, in The Wizard of Oz. Hers is less intentional. Now, Alice was following the rabbit and fell down the rabbit hole. And so I guess you can say that they're equally intentional. I just feel like Alice's is more intentional. That's just my vibe, but just not accurately correct in any way. So this was marketed to me more because of Alice, and I don't remember where it came up, but it was marketed to me as an Alice deck. And then I got it and I'm looking through the cards and I'm like, what? And then I went back and realized, oh no, it's Oz and Wonderland. So I'm just going to make sure that that's clear before we start. But the artwork on the front is all very Wonderland. This box is heavy. It is not as heavy as the Disney one, but this is sturdy. It is heavy. It is lovely. I really like this box. I like the gold. I like this lock. Like there's jewels here, which this is, you know, kind of Emerald City vibes right there. And then on the back, you do get a preview of some of the artwork, and you can see it is Wizard of Oz and Alice in Wonderland. Like, I just wasn't paying attention when I bought it. And I'm not upset. I don't feel like I got finagled or shenaniganed in any way. It was just marketed to me because of the Alice tie-in. So it does have like the slightly magnetic clasp. It's not as strong as one of the decks we looked at yesterday. The Westwood Tarot has a much stronger magnet, but this is strong enough, let me tell you. You're just not struggling to open it. The Westwood can be pretty tough. And so on the inside, you've got the gold again, but then you're going with gold and black. And then you look at the guidebook and suddenly it's like that taupiness. And so it's like in the Wizard of Oz when it was black and white. So this is a very interesting choice. We'll get to the guidebook later, but it's really interesting that it's giving more sepia tinted, old timey tin type. You know what I mean? Like a very different vibe than the box. And then I'm going to take the deck out because I don't want to spoil anything. I'm going to show you the rest of the box and then we'll look at the deck. And again, very sturdy cardboard, and it's got the ribbon that I like. And I really, really love this because then on the inside of the box right here, it says eat me. And it's got like the cookies, and it's definitely giving tea party and in the forest. And then up on top, you've got this jewel looking thing, which is giving the Wizard of Oz. But again, you can see it's predominantly Alice looking more than it is Wizard of Oz. But I do feel like when we switch to this, where it's like the black and gold, that is more Wizard of Oz. So just really interesting mashup. I just have to say it, which story-wise and thematically I get, but I just feel like you could have done a whole Alice deck on its own. So, and I love the blue ribbon, right? This is obviously, you know, the blue from her dress. Alice's. Just gonna say that again. Okay, here's where it gets weird. The back of the deck is really intricate, and you can see this mix of matte and shiny. You can see the Cheshire Cat, you can see the moons, you can see the rabbit. You can see that it's in black and white, and the box isn't. So you would not think that this box and this deck go together. That's why I didn't want to show you them together when I showed you the inside of the box. I mean, and look at how small the deck is and the cards are. This is a giant box, and the deck is like this big. So it's even worse than the Oracle one where it's like rattling around the box. Now, this box admittedly does have that cushioning cardboard we talked about, you know, here. So it's not that bad. But that deck, like, why is the box so big? Are you, like, you would think you're getting bigger cards. I like smaller cards personally because, again, with small hands, but this is a very small this way and thick this way deck. Like, it's crazy. So I'm looking, and this deck is out of order because I do think after I looked at it initially, I shuffled it. And I don't think I've drawn from this deck yet, but I have looked at it at least once, and apparently I did attempt to shuffle it. So let's start flipping through them. I just apologize in advance because the cards are out of order. And I just can't get over this. I love the back of the deck. It just doesn't match, and I'm just really struggling with that personally. All right. So when you look at it, the first card is the Fool. So it is out of order, but not that bad. It is Alice as the Fool. She's got the rabbit. You've got the toadstools. You've got very fantasy elements. So this is what I'm looking for from an Alice in Wonderland card, is lots of colors, dreaminess, and fantasy elements. And this card delivers. The artwork is cute. I'd love to see her face be more distinctive, but it's as distinctive as it needs to be, I guess. I love the borders on the card. And I do like that it tells you that it is Alice. That's probably good since this deck is a mashup. So that's a good thing. And then the cardstock is fairly flimsy. Personally, I don't care. This is about as thin as you expect a card to be. Like if you were working with a deck of cards, this is the like bendiness and thinness you would expect. These are not going to tear easily. I do not think cards need to be as thick as they've gotten. And to be honest, you saw how thick this deck is. If this cardstock was any thicker, I can't even imagine how thick and heavy this deck would be. All right, so first card, Alice, we love. Second card is the Chariot, and these are the flying monkeys. And again, these are out of order, so apologies. But yeah, the monkeys is the Chariot. Amazing, right? Because they definitely whisk Dorothy away. Very, very good. And again, I love, love, love the artwork. There's a lot of depth here, like visual depth and fantasy elements, but you know where your eye is supposed to be drawn towards, which is that purple flying monkey carrying Toto. So cute. All right, and then next up is 10 of Pentacles, which is the Emerald City, which is very accurate, right, for the 10 of Pentacles from the Wizard of Oz story. And look at how green it is, and the rainbow. Like, you look at this and you know it's the Emerald City. Like, it is So, so perfect. And then this is the Tower. And aptly enough, it is the tornado from The Wizard of Oz. And that's her tower moment. And for her, it comes early, right? This is a perfect card thematically and artistically. I love the colors. I love how you've got this like red up top and then the blue, and you've got the lightning bolts, like creatively an amazing choice for the Tower card. And then the moon is the Cheshire Cat, which I love. And look at that Cheshire Cat. He's so purple. He's so saturated. And then you can see again, the reflection here is the crescent moon, like the first deck we looked at where the Cheshire Cat was representing the moon. I love it. I do wish he was a little toothier, but that is a minor nitpick on this card, which I do like overall. All right, the strength card, we've got the Cowardly Lion from The Wizard of Oz, which really reinforces the do it scared message. And then I love the heart, because remember, he needed the heart for courage. And, you know, in the original movie, he has, I think, like the braids in his hair or something. And so I really like that they've got some stuff going on with his mane up here and the ribbon on his crown. So I think that that's a very good choice for the strength card. Metamorphosis is the blue butterfly from Alice, I'm assuming, because the toadstools, but I don't remember the blue butterfly at all. But beautiful, beautiful card. The messenger, which is the royal footman from Alice. So cute. And they've got their little playing cards. Next up, we've got the world, which is the looking glass. So Alice in the second one goes through the looking glass and returns to Wonderland. So that's an interesting choice for the world. I quite like that. Judgment. And that is Alice facing the Jabberwocky. Oh, that is so good. Look at the Jabberwocky. Look at him breathing the purple fire and smoke. Oh my gosh. I wish we could see this Vorpal sword, but maybe it shows up later in the deck. All right. And then the empath, which is the hungry tiger. And he's got his lamb. I don't personally remember this. Is this from Through the Looking Glass? I don't know. But that one is not standing out to me. The Four of Cups, which is Tip's discovery. Is that like Return to Oz? The Ten of Cups, the Yellow Brick Road. Oh, I love that. And look at how cute that is. This is definitely from the OG movie. Like, that is OG Dorothy right there. Although I don't remember the Tin Man having such a prominent butt crack, but that could just be me. But that is a cute, cute card. Very pretty. All right, then we've got the Five of Pentacles, which is Humpty Dumpty. I can see that. Wouldn't have been my go-to, but I can see it. The Four of Pentacles, which is the Wicked Witch's possessions. I love that. And I love her little witchy room with all her witchy possessions. It's kind of giving my room a little bit. All right, and then we've got the Page of Cups, who is Button Bright. Don't remember. Cute, though. Look at that. That is really pretty. Very, very fantasy. No idea who that is. The Knight of Cups, which is the March Hare. Perfect. Love the March Hare. And then the King of Cups, which is King Rinky Tink. Again, is this Return to Oz? Am I crazy? Is this Through the Looking Glass? Whatever. He's adorable, and I love his lanterns, and I love the purple. The Queen of Cups, which is the Glass Cat. Beautiful. Wow. That is lovely. The Three of Swords, which is the Woodsman's Heart. I like that. A little grim. I love it. Two of Swords, which is told you would. And that, of course, is a skinny looking Cheshire cat in the woods with the purple haze. Very nice, very nice. And then next up, we've got the Ace of Swords, which is the Vorpal sword. I was hoping this would show up. That is so perfect. From Alice. She fights the Jabberwocky, right? Yes. All right, next we've got the Nine of Cups. The Wizard's Accolades. The Eight of Cups, which is a wish upon a star, and it's Dorothy on the farm with her basket, again with that sepia tent from the original movie, which matches the guidebook like we were talking about. I knew that's what they're going for. I'm so good at this. All right. Then we've got the Seven of Cups, which is the Gnome King's Ornaments. And this is definitely from Return to Oz, which I need to read because I don't think I've read it since I was a child. Six of Cups, which is the Lobster Quadrille. The lobster's dancing. That's a beautiful card as well. And then the Five of Cups, which is the Mock Turtle. And both of these are Alice. That is beautiful. Look at the moon up there. These cards are giving very AI vibes, but not in a bad way, just really reminiscent of that. Three of Cups, a Mad Tea Party. That is so cute. I'm not going to lie. I want to redo my backyard, and I totally want to do an Alice in Wonderland theme. That is 100% goals for me right now. Two of Cups, which is Tweedledum and Tweedledee. Look how skinny they are. They're supposed to be little chunks. All right, next up is the Ace of Cups, which is the Drink Me Vial. Oh, I love this. Yes. I love Wizard of Oz too, but you can tell I'm here for Alice. All right, this is the King of Wands, which is Prince Inga. No idea what this is from. This could be Return to Oz. This could be Through the Looking Glass. I don't know, and if you do, please tell me. Very curious. I'm also curious what you guys think of this mashup, because it's not just a mashup of The Wizard of Oz and Alice in Wonderland. It's a mashup of the sequels too, and I just think that's an interesting choice. So Bellina the Hen, love. Like, I really think they could have gotten enough cards going a different way, but it's also fun, and none of the cards are a stretch, you know, because they had so much to work with between 4 different books. The King of Pentacles is the Gnome King. Love that. That is really perfect. The Knight of Pentacles, the Shaggy Man. Love. Really enjoying the artwork. Nothing to fuss about with this deck. The Nine of Pentacles is Queen Alice. So at one point she does become the queen. The Page of Pentacles is Toto. Look at him in his armor. So cute. Not even a dog person. I do like dogs, but I'm not a dog person. That is really cute. Next up, we've got the Eight of Pentacles, which is the Duchess's Cook. I have not had breakfast yet, so I would love to be in this card right now. I want the Duchess's Cook to cook for me. That is what I'm dreaming of at the moment, even more than a tea party. The Seven of Pentacles, which is Aunt M's garden. Oh, look at that. Look at those tomatoes. Look at those kitties. I love garden cats. And the birds in the distance, and a mailbox. A cow, a windmill. Love, 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 love. The Six of Pentacles, which is the White King's plum cake. That is lovely. And that is a handsome man. I would very much like to have plum cake with the White King. I'm not going to lie. Don't judge me, but I would hang out in his garden with him. All right. So then we got the Three of Pentacles. And then you can see it is the Scarecrow, the Tin Man, and the Cowardly Lion. With like a zoom out and a zoom in. I liked it. I'm down. All right, the King of Swords. Oops. No, not getting the King of Swords yet. Sorry, I lied. Ace of Pentacles, which are the silver slippers. Must be Return to Oz, because I don't remember silver slippers in the OG movie. King of Swords is the gnat. Don't know which one he's from. The Two of Pentacles is the mushroom. Love, love, love. Definitely Alice in Wonderland. These stick together. I've not gone through these completely. You can tell they're a little sticky. Ooh, the Queen of Swords is the Red Queen. And what a fun Red Queen she is. Oh my gosh. You know I love a good shoulder tattoo. Wow. Look at her. What a beautiful and amazing interpretation of the Red Queen. Oh no, are we twins? I have 2 shoulder tattoos too. I love it. And she's rocking the sword. Love it. That's a good card. The Knight of Swords is TikTok from... Is he from Return to Oz? I think he is. Is he in both? He's so cute. Love. Page of Swords, the Griffin. This is also probably fun because Wicked is out in theaters now, and I know a lot of us really enjoyed the plays. I really liked Wizard of Oz as a kid. I really liked Wicked when it came out as a book. I really liked it when it came out in, as a play in the theater, and now we've got the movie. So this is actually really kind of fun timing to go through this. So the Page of Swords is the Griffin. And then we've got the Ten of Swords, which is the Wicked Witch of the East. That is really fun. And again, I'm loving the artwork on this. This is really good. The Nine of Swords are the Wheelers. They are very scary from The Wizard of Oz. I think maybe from the second one. Very scary. And then the Eight of Swords is the King of the Forest. Love, love, love. All right. And then the Seven of Swords is the Walrus and the Carpenter. Here we go. And we got to see a little bit of Walrus in the other deck. We got to see a little bit of Carpenter, but putting them together as the Walrus and the Carpenter, I think is really neat. I like that. And we all remember the poem, "The time has come," the walrus said, "to talk of many things." I really like that. Okay. And then the Six of Swords is wool and water, which is really cute. A little too cute for Wizard of Oz, so it might be Through the Looking Glass. Just the second Wizard book was just so much rougher. The Lion and the Unicorn. Oh my gosh, I love that. I'm sorry, I'm swooping around a little bit. I was trying to get it straightened out. There we go. And the unicorn's got the lion's crown on his horn. That's very fun. All right, the Four of Swords is the Red King. I don't mind him. All right, and then the Empress card is Ozma of Oz. She is beautiful. Oh my gosh, she is so beautiful. This might be the whole Oz series and not just the first two. And the Hierophant is the blue caterpillar. That is so perfect. And I don't think you can see his hookah in this. You do. I was going to say, you definitely see the smoke, but yeah, the hookah is right there. Sorry to zoom you in so quickly. Oh, yes. I love that card. All right, and then the Emperor is the Wizard of Oz. The Lovers, Dorothy and the Scarecrow. She's lovely, by the way. That is an interesting choice. I do not know the whole Wizard of Oz series. I know that there's a whole series. I don't know if I read the whole thing as a child, but there's a lot that happens, which is why I'm so glad that when what's his name wrote the book Wicked, he made it so giant truck just right. He made it so political because there is so much of that in the whole series. And so he's like bringing a lot of that and obviously twisting and turning it on its head. Ace of Wands, Glinda's wand. Ooh, that is really pretty. My sister's going to love that card. I kind of wish she was here looking at this with me because she also loves Wicked. Not as much of an Alice fan as I am, but we're both huge Wicked fans. We saw the play together. Dorothy Gale. When Wicked was touring back in the day and they were in Texas, I think I saw it maybe at least twice, maybe 3 times, which is huge for me to actually go out and see a play that many times. 4 of Wands is Munchkin Country. That is so cute. Interesting that the Munchkins are kids. Not sure I love that interpretation or that the Munchkins would either, but okay. And then the 3 of Wands is Chess Valley. Beautiful. Alice, I want to go there. I'm telling you, it's going to make a great backyard one day. All right, the 2 of Wands is the Enchanted Forest. You can see the yellow brick road going through the forest. You can see the faces in the trees. This is great. This is a good card, and this is a really good detail to have in the card. And you don't have any of our main characters here. This is really a very good setting from the movies and the books. From Oz, that is really good. The Wheel of Fortune is the White Rabbit. That is so interesting. And I guess it makes sense because he starts her on this adventure and then a lot of things kind of happen, you know, like the wheel turns. Sorry, that was my turning motion. So yeah, this is... Sorry about that. I hope I'm not making you dizzy, but look at the crystals and all the different pocket watches and the archway and the watches within the watches. I like that card a lot, a lot. All right. The Hermit is the Dormouse, which is perfect. And he's hermiting it up in his little teapot down there. And the mushrooms. And then look at the color scheme of this one. It's different and still lovely. And I love the sunbeams coming down through the forest onto the mushrooms. I'm really enjoying the artwork here. All right. The Devil card is the Queen of Hearts. Oh my gosh, she is amazing. That is an amazing card to do it like white, the different shades of white and gray like that, and then to have the 2 red things popping out, and then her eyes, and then a little bit of color in her crown like that. She is gorgeous. This is a gorgeous card. I love it. The white roses. Love it. The Queen of Pentacles is the Duchess. I don't like the pig. I'm wondering if this is AI art because her arm is really wonky right here. And when I say AI art, it's not a criticism. I know there's a lot of mixed things about it, but I've seen some really creative uses. And a lot of these, what I feel like they've done is taken some AI elements and mixed in some other elements. But yes, I don't like the character. It's a good card. I just don't like the character. And then this is the High Priestess, and this is the White Queen. She's lovely, and I'm sorry that I said that her husband, the White King, was so handsome, which he is, because she is clearly not going to let me anywhere near that man. That is her man. So she is gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. This is a beautiful card. All right, next we've got the Magician, which is, again, the Mad Hatter, which is very appropriate and perfect. Do we have duplicate cards in this deck, or am I making this up? Because I feel like we've seen some cards with different artwork in the same deck. I could be making that up. But very cute Mad Hatter. Very young and ephemeral and an effeminate looking Hatter, which is really interesting because I do think Hatter kind of walks some lines there. All right, the Hanged Man, which is the Tin Woodsman. I can see that. And then Justice, the King of Hearts. And I love the dragons. And I think that we've got the scales of justice, but I also think the dragons are balancing each other out too. And then death, always one of my favorite cards, as we know, the Wicked Witch of the West. I don't love this representation of her. I don't mind her being death. I just, her face in this one is just not to my taste. But I love the green. I love her outfit. I just would have loved to have seen a different rendering of that card, I guess is what I'm getting at. And okay, next up is the star. Do you want to guess who the star is? Do you already know who the star is? Because I don't think this is a big leap. It is Glinda the Good Witch. And she's beautiful. And her little crown thingy looks like a unicorn horn. Right? And I like her pink dress. She's so cute, so cute. All right. And then the Knight of Wands is Jack Pumpkinhead, which is funny. I like it. I don't hate it, at least. The Page of Wands, is Scraps the Patchwork Girl. She's cute. And then the 10 of Wands is Bill the Lizard. He's so cute, coming out of his house with his wands. It's perfect. The 9 of Wands is the White Knight. I want a little more oomph from that card, but it is good. This card has oomph, I'll tell you that. This is the 8 of Wands, which is the Looking Glass Railway. And look at all the little birds, too. Okay, those trains look really weird. This has to be AI art. Look at those trains. That is not right. But it's a beautiful card, and I love it. But yeah. I mean, is that accurate? Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know much about the Looking Glass Railway, but you can see it's one level of train here, and then it has like a second train on top of it that starts back there. Maybe that is right. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I'd love to know if somebody does know more than I do about Through the Looking Glass. The 7 of Wands is Alice's defense. Remember when she gets giant and look, they're all like stabbing her with their little spears, their little makeshift spears, the card knights. All right, the 6 of Wands is Dorothy's triumph. Okay, these are great. I like these. The 5 of Wands is Croquet with the Queen. Remember I was saying I wanted to see some of the actual croquet earlier in the other deck. This deck is delivering. This is, in fact, Croquet with the Queen, where you've got the flamingos and you've got the hedgehogs and you've got the big red heart and you've got the castle in the distance. Is this good for the hedgehogs? I'm going to say no. Is this fun and accurate? Yes. That's what I'm talking about. All right, next up, we've got Temperance, which is Auntie M. And I think that is very fitting. And here with Temperance, she's got her watering can and she's watering her garden. So we are at our last card of this deck. And this last card is the Sun. And it is a lovely card. You've got all of these sentient flowers basking in the sun, the garden of lively flowers. So it's beautiful. And I like that you can see sunbeams, and I get the tie-in, but I would want to actually see the sun. That's my only critique. But I love that, the lively flowers are growing because of the sun. I get it. I just really want to actually see the sun in the sun card. That's just my thing. Okay, so that was the deck. We still have the guidebook to go through, but I'm going to pause and sorry, I'm shaking the table again and talk about the deck for a second. So I mentioned that the cards are pretty thin, which I'm glad because this, you can see it's a giant deck. Smushing it back together, it's a little grippier than I'd like. Even though the deck is small, it is pretty tall. The cards are kind of long and thin, as you can see. I like the extra real estate, so you get the so you get the artwork really thoroughly. The hand feel for me is a little tough. This is a very thick deck. So for it to be thick this way and tall, I'm just struggling with it a little bit. And they're a little bendy. So handling wise, I have to go that way. Let me see if I can do it the long way. Kind of. It's not too bad. It's like hurting this hand. And I did have a card jump out, which is 2 of Wands, the Enchanted Forest. So I did get a card that jumped out right away. So I'd say the slippiness is probably just right. And it is more comfortable for me to shuffle it this way in some ways, which doesn't make any sense because it's actually hurting this hand a little bit. But that is how I prefer to shuffle with tarot decks. And we all know I like Oracle decks better, but this is a solid tarot deck. And before we move on to the guidebook, I just want to say, the Sun card came out. So funny. I just want to say that of the 3 that we've reviewed today, as a deck, this is my favorite deck that we've reviewed today. As an Alice in Wonderland deck, this is my favorite deck that we've reviewed today of the 3, which is really interesting since it is a mashup of Alice and Dorothy. It is still a better Alice deck than the 2 other Alice decks we saw. It is thematically more accurate, and I like the artwork the best. I don't think I appreciate that Disney Disneyfied their Alice deck as much as they did. I understand, like I get it, but I don't have to like it just because I understand it, right? So of the 3, this is my favorite deck. I would love to see a whole deck from these people or similar of just Alice and have Dorothy be separate, especially since they took things from the series of both of them and not just the individual movie. I just think there's enough material to do both. Or if you're going to do Alice and Through the Looking Glass. But again, I love the deck. That's just me wishing that everything was just a little perfecter than it is, which is my life. But yeah, overall, I love this deck quite a bit. I don't mind that there's clearly some AI elements in it. I feel like they put the work in. I don't remember how much this one cost. For whatever reason in my head, it's less expensive than the other 2 decks. I don't know if that's completely true, but that's just the deck. Let's look at the guidebook now and see what we think. And again, even the width of the cards is just a little too much for me, but that is a personal issue. But I do have to say that since these cards are thinner cardstock, but the deck is so big, it's actually a little harder on my hands than if they were thicker cardstock, just because the sides are just a little sharper. So I think that's why it's bothering my hands a little bit more. But again, that's a personal problem. So let's look at the guidebook. Journey into Oz and Wonderland. So it's so interesting because if you look at the box, you think you're getting an Alice in Wonderland deck. If you look at the guidebook, Oz is what's coming through more. So it's an interesting way for them to balance it, which is to have them be different instead of have the artwork matched up as much, if that makes any sense. Okay, I'm impressed with the guidebook already. So you open it and you get this kind of blank page where it looks like you're supposed to put a photograph there or write on it, which is interesting. And then this inside cover has like this border around it. That's good. And then here you've got a note from the creators, which is in cursive. And even though I read cursive, it's hard for me to read because it's so itty bitty. And it's got a dedication, gratitude. As we created this deck, our biggest goals were to create the best deck that we could envision and do it in a way that takes our readers on a magical journey. Yes, I think that it did, right? I think that this deck did that. We hope that each card will take your imagination to a wonderful place filled with familiar faces and remarkable creatures as you quest for spiritual understanding. I love that. Oh, yeah, I like that a lot. And then I really like this page. And then we've got a mashup of the elements from the 2 different, properties. And it just is giving vintage, but colorful. Same thing. You get into the table of contents, you can see it's not coming across as clearly on camera. Let me pull back a little bit, but the corners are a little tinted and, aged, which I like. And then you've got an introduction talking about tarot, understanding tarot. And again, fun artwork, fun tinting of the pages. They did not skimp on this guidebook. Getting to know your deck, and then getting into, and I love that they say take your time to note the symbolism and imagery and reflect on it, see what resonates. I love all that. And then they get into how to read tarot, establishing your question. We know we like that. And then a bunch of different spreads. So they've got the 1-card pull. They've got the 3-card down here with the past, present, future. They've got the adventure path spread, which is a 4-card spread designed to reveal a hidden path within life's journey, the prologue, the quest, the magical tool or ally, and the outcome. And then the Celtic cross, very traditional one there. Caring for your deck. And again, lots of good symbols here. And then we get into the major arcana, and you can see that even here we've got really good artwork. So, and then, I'm going to love this part. You have a full color picture of the card with the major arcana. And again, you've got the kind of aged corners on the pages. And then here you've got a good quote to go with each card, which I love and loved from the other one. Alice had begun to think that very few things indeed were really impossible. I love Alice. Oh my gosh. Okay, so love this. It's got a quote for each of the major arcana cards. Let's look at the Empress card, which is Ozma of Oz. You see, Glinda, if these are Oz people, they are my subjects, and I cannot allow any wars or troubles in the land I rule if I can possibly help it. And again, she's the Empress. I love it. All right, I'm going to flip through really quick. So all of the major arcana has a full color picture and a quote. And then I'm going to get really distracted. This is really good. This is a good guidebook. I'm not going to lie. Let's look at the sun card really quick because I was so intrigued by the lack of visible sun. So Garden of Lively Flowers. And it's got keywords. It's got all this stuff you want. I didn't talk about the interpretations as much because I was so excited about the quotes. But it's got keywords. It's got the quote. It has the description. And then it's got the message in the reverse. So very thorough, even though it's all on one page. But the quote for this one is, "It's the fresh air that does it," said the rose. "Wonderfully fine air it is out here." Yes, that's good. But again, this is the sun card. No mention of the sun. But in the description, it says, "The sun shined brightly upon an enchanted garden, revealing the vibrant personalities of the lively flowers. Each flower with its unique voice sang in perfect harmony with one another. Captivated by their charm, Alice joined in playful banter, reveling in their presence. Their joyful chorus echoed throughout the garden, creating an atmosphere of warmth and vitality." I am a 10 out of 10 on this guidebook. It literally appears to be the perfect guidebook to me. Like 100%. Oh, so they have this card 25, the witch. I don't remember seeing that one, so I'm gonna have to figure that out. But listen to this quote. "We dare not harm this girl," he said to them, "for she is protected by the power of good, and that is greater than the power of evil." I just love stories so much. Oh my gosh. Okay. So then you get into the minor arcana, which has its own introductory pages, like the major arcana did. Very cute. You've got the flying monkey. You've got some roses. So, well, those are not roses, but that's fine. Okay, and so here it's just like that other guidebook we looked at where you do have a picture of the card, but for the minor arcana, it's on the same page, which is fine. And it's also in full color. This is not a cheap guidebook. Like printing this was expensive, I can tell you that. I love all the cards. I love this guidebook. I'm going to give this overall, the total deck for me is a 9.5 out of 10. That half a point isn't anything specific. It's just a combination of just I'd say that I wish the cards didn't hurt my hands. And the other piece of the half a point is just I'd like the artwork to just be a little more consistent in its narrative, but again, that's minor. It's just shy of perfect. I mean, maybe it's a 9.9 even. This is as close to a 10 as we're going to get with these Alice decks. So I do have a question for you guys. If you know of any other Alice decks, can you please tell me the name or drop me a link, because I want to make sure I add it to my collection. I will go through the rest of my collection and make sure I don't have any other Alice decks. I'd be shocked if I didn't find some hiding somewhere, just because I do have so many and they're, throughout the house. I hope you enjoyed this one where we went through 3 Alice decks, 2 tarot, 1 oracle, and then one of the tarot decks is a mashup with the Wizard of Oz as the entire series. I really liked looking at these. When I do these flip throughs, I definitely see details I don't see on my own. So this is also really fun for me. If there's other decks that you specifically want to see, let me know. And then, like I said, I'd love to know if you have some of the ones I showed and what you think of them, or if after watching this you want to buy them. And again, please, if you know of any other Alice decks, let me know so I can add them to my collection. Hope you enjoyed this. Happy Tuesday, everybody. And whatever you're doing, I hope that you go forth with the adventure and curiosity of Alice. Thanks, everybody. Bye.